You know, Ray, it's not often that we stray away from the world of hockey, right? I mean, we stay in
We
our
should.
lane. We should. We stay in our lane. On occasion, we'll talk about other sports because, you're way more opinionated than I, and you've got strong opinion on so many
Mhm.
things. But in this case, one thing that we both have a passion for is the sport of golf. So we're proud to bring in Mackenzie Hughes, who is a great Canadian, has had a terrific amount of success on the PGA Tour this year, including a run at the U.S. Open, Mac, where you had every Canadian golf fan on the edge of their seat through three rounds anyway, and a good portion of the fourth and final round as well. Coming out of the Travelers here in Connecticut, where you're joining us, so thank you for that. It's been a heck of a year for Mackenzie Hughes. Does it feel that way to you?
Yeah, I've definitely been happy with a large majority of my season. I think given the length of a golf season and what we go through on a yearly basis, I think it's natural that you're going to go through some periods where you're not as happy, and you go through little mini slumps. And just like my Leafs, there was points in the season where I thought, oh, they're kind of down and on a little bit of a slide, and then they pick right back up. So yeah, I kind of felt like my season's been filled with plenty of highs, but it's had some lows too. Even going to the U.S. Open, I missed 5 cuts in a row, and I felt like I wasn't playing too badly, just wasn't getting the results, and just had to keep getting pucks deep and keep going in there. But no, it's been a pretty good season so far, and last week was a lot of fun. So I hope to get myself back there soon and get the job done.
You talk about the ups and downs of the year. I don't think most of us watching on TV have any idea of the grind of the week to week to week, and then you go through that tough stretch where you miss the 5 cuts. How do you not get so enveloped and frustrated with when things are just a little off because it's just there's nobody else that can fix it?
Yeah, that's the hard part about this game, is that it's you kind of wrestling with your thoughts and trying to manage those thoughts and keep them in a positive place, and trying to do a better job of that, where I'm trying to get more wrapped up in my progress versus my product. And I felt like the last little bit, the progress has been there. I feel like I'm making some strides, and last week at the U.S. Open was nice to see that. Even though I'd missed 5 cuts in a row, my game was never that far off. I had made a couple minor tweaks, and all of a sudden I was right there with a chance to win one of the biggest tournaments in the world. So I think that's a great sign for me. And I think, like most people at the highest level, it's easy to think that you're really far off when in fact it's something small, and you're quite close. But sometimes those good results can seem like they're really far away.
What's the difference in the pressure of a week-to-week tournament to now you're in the second to last group at the U.S. Open? What does that feel like?
Yeah, Saturday I teed off. I think I was the fourth last group and played nicely, and Sunday put my way into the final group, and it's something that I've been asked a lot, and I think that I'd say it feels like you're trying to win a tournament that just feels a little bigger. You can sense that the moment is a bit bigger. I knew that, I'm not one that's lost on golf history. Your career and your legacy is defined on major championship wins, and the greatest players, they're circling their calendar with those 4 majors, and those are the big ones for them. And so all of that wasn't lost on me. And I think you have a sense of that when you're out there. But again, when you get out in the course, it does seem, I would say, a little more manageable. I think the pre-round and leading up to it, there's a bit more of a build-up. But once you're out there, the task at hand is in front of you, and you are focused on that. But there's certainly a little bit of added pressure and expectation, and again, you feel like there's a little bit more of a few more eyeballs, given that it's the U.S. Open and all
Okay,
that.
there's more eyeballs, but you're on the range, and pretty soon everybody's dusted. It's just you standing out there. Like, that's got to feel pretty weird, no?
Yeah, I mean, that's again, that's a first for me. I mean, I'd never played in the final group of a major, and so when you're the last guy in the range on a Sunday, closing down the range is pretty. It's pretty surreal and cool at the same time. Just thinking about what's ahead of you, and yeah, I crave that feeling again. I would love to go back and have a couple of those swings over, but that's why they're really hard to win and why not many guys have won them. So it was great to put myself there in that position, and I've taken some things and learned, and next time I'll be a bit better.
Is that where the maturity comes from, though, Mackenzie, in looking back at that final round? And, you just mentioned it. Of course, you'd like to have a few swings over again, but that's the game of golf. If you're going to beat yourself up about the negative aspect of what went down in that final round, then chances are you're not going to get back there again. So it's much more important to focus on all the great swings that you had leading up to being in that final group.
Yeah, for sure. And again, for 63 holes, 64 holes, I was right there, one back at the U.S. Open. And, unfortunately, that last 9 didn't play out the way I would have liked. But
yeah,
I was right there for such a long period of time that, I mean, there's so many more positives than there are negatives. And, yeah, I mean, as a golfer, whether you're a weekend golfer or whether you're trying to win the U.S. Open, you always come off the course thinking, I'd love to have one of those swings back, and that's – you can't play that game because it's a deep dark hole of I want that one back, I want this one back, and it's not the way it goes. I mean, unless you're playing in the local scramble and you buy 4 mulligans on the first tee, I mean, right. You just don't get them back. So it was a learning moment for me, and again, like I said, next time there's a few swings there where I just needed to have a bit more of a commitment to what I was doing and be a bit clear on my purpose. And I think it may have turned out a bit differently, but I know that a mentor of mine, Mike Weir, went through something similar in his first chance in a final round of a major, being the final group of Tiger there. So, I've been able to kind of lean on him for some advice there, and he knows that there's a lot more to come out of that that's positive than there is negative.
Now, whatever advice he can give you, nobody can give you advice when your ball gets stuck between a twig or a couple of twigs. Like when you see that ball go up there and it doesn't come down, and then you're looking in the TV camera to identify your ball, like how do you, like, what are you thinking? Like, we're at home and none of us can believe, like, are you kidding me when they show the ball and it's sitting there? Like, are you kidding me? How does that not just fall out eventually?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking there, man? Like,
yeah. So obviously, it was a shot that I kind of got in between and hit a really bad shot and hit it way left the green. But I'm still thinking as I'm going up there, okay, pins back right. I'm well left, but maybe I've got a chance over there, catch a decent lie somewhere in the grass. It's fine. Well, then I'm walking up there and people are saying, oh, it's in the tree. And I'm thinking to myself, like, there's no way. I can't even picture a tree over there because, to be honest, in a practice round, I never looked over there. I never hit it over there. So now I'm thinking to myself, like, boy, what have I got myself into here? And I'm walking up there and everyone's looking up in the tree. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It's just, I mean, you see it happen, and it's happened to a lot of guys, but I've never had it happen to me. So until it happens to you, you don't even think that's possible. And it happens a lot with palm trees, it seems like, but this didn't seem like a tree that a ball would get stuck in. Just incredible dumb luck to have that happen. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I'm 2 back on the back 9 of the U.S. Open, and this happens. And it was a bit of a gut punch. I mean, I kept it internalized, but inside I'm thinking to myself, man, what a mess this is. And then I was trying to figure out what my next course of action was and figuring out where I was going to drop and all that. And there's enough stuff going on to keep your mind occupied. But yeah, certainly that was a really bad break at a bad time. And like I said, I would, be one of those swings I wanted to have back. But if that ball hits the tree and kicks a bit right, I mean, so many different things could have happened and it could have been okay. And who knows what we're talking about right now if that had been the case. So unfortunate for sure. And again, I think it's kind of one of those things you got to just take on the chin and move on.
Do you pay any attention to what goes on with Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau? I mean, we as golf fans are amused by it, right? The I don't know if they're friendly jabs or not. You genuinely get a sense that they probably don't like each other a whole bunch, but you're inside the fraternity there, right? Do you see it? Do you sense it? Is it a big deal among the players, or is it just one of those things that golf media pay attention to?
I mean, I'm definitely aware of it, and you can't avoid it because it's all over the place and it's published by every golf outlet that there is. So you can't stay away from it. But I get the sense that Brooks has a strong disdain for Bryson. I think if Bryson had the chance, he would like to reconcile, but I don't see Brooks ever wanting to sit down with Bryson ever. So I really genuinely feel there's a strong dislike from one side in particular, but both of them just are not compatible human beings. And it's funny, there's been some different theories thrown around. Like some people think, now it's just being blown up because of this new player impact program, and like, hey, there's this $40 million for the 10 players that generate the most impact on the tour and all this. There's these different metrics that they can kind of track. And I don't know, I mean, I think that there's a genuine dislike, and I'm not sure how much of the extra stuff is done up or whatever, but I know that if put in a room there wouldn't be a lot of conversation, and I'm sure that Brooks has got some pretty strong feelings towards Bryson. But Bryson's pretty harmless, a bit of a just a kind of a golf nerd, and that's totally fine. They're just different personalities, and they don't gel. So it's been pretty entertaining to see some of the stuff that's been put out, and I know that people are generally enjoying what they're seeing.
For sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's so unlike anything that you generally see, right? And so, of course, everybody, each time one of them does an interview, they've got a camera, or that question shows up. I'm sure you guys get asked all the time. Like when you watch these guys play, and like you play Mackenzie Hughes golf, and John Rahm plays John Rahm golf, and then you've got DeChambeau playing like his golf. Like, do you even look at it? Do you stare at it and go, what the hell is that? Or do you look at it and go, oh my God, he can hit it like forever? That's something would be neat to do, or is it just something out there?
I mean, there's no question that Bryson has pushed the boundaries of what people think is possible, and making people believe that distance is one of the biggest assets that you can have in golf.
Right.
And the old saying, drive for show, putt for dough. Well, he's proving that it's more, drive for dough, putt for dough. So you really need to be an elite driver of the golf ball if you want to dominate the game, and hitting it as far as he does makes you elite without really having to hit it that straight. Now he does hit it very straight for how far he hits it. So the combination is pretty deadly, and I think it's hard not to notice. I mean, it's again, like we got talked about with this Brooks and Bryson thing. It's all over the place. Like Bryson's long drives are talked about all the time. Whatever he's doing is talked about a lot. So hard to avoid and not hear about that stuff. So I think that there are certain players that you kind of look at and go, oh, what's he doing? Or, you kind of pay attention a little bit. But I mean, I know I'm not going to go and, have 8 protein shakes a day and 12 steaks and try and gain 60 pounds of weight just to try and hit the ball further. So it's not in the cards for me, but definitely take notice. And I mean, what he's doing is pretty incredible, but yeah, not for me.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm 5'9". I'd look at a 6'4" guy playing and go, geez, I'd like to run somebody over. And like,
oh yeah. Well, it's like
man.
that new guy that just came out on tour a couple weeks ago, that Wilco.
Oh yeah, the skinny.
And I mean, he's probably 6'4", 6'5", and I mean, would blow up by Bryson. I mean, Bryson can't hang with this guy, which is crazy because you look at this guy's stature, and I mean, he kind of looks like a daddy long legs. I mean, he's got just huge long limbs. I mean, arms and legs just so long, and he's just, I mean, but he's an unassuming kind of figure where you're like, I don't think this. I mean, he's long, tall and lanky, and then he just generates so much speed, and you're thinking, I mean, he's one of those guys where you'd be like, wow, that'd be nice to have that kind of power. But, that kind of power isn't always, a blessing. It makes other things hard to do in the game. Like, you watch a guy like Rory McIlroy, and for a long time, he struggled with his wedge play and short iron play because he's so fast and he's got so much explosive power. Doesn't always bode well for, some of those softer shots, some of those finesse shots. So, I mean, with everything, there's a plus and a minus, but certainly being one of the longest players on tour is a huge asset.
Now, you've got sorry, I was just saying, you got a busy summer that's going to include the Olympics. Your teammate Corey Connors at Kent State, fellow Canadian, you guys are going to go over there. When you qualified, was that an absolute yes, I'm going right away? Because some players aren't, but man, it must be exciting to consider that.
Yeah, I've had that on my radar for the last 4 years since Rio, and yeah, I was definitely excited to do that. Once I had the chance and knew that was gonna be a possibility. It's something that's so unique to golf. Hadn't been around for a long time in the Olympics, and when they brought it back, I thought, man, it's not something you dream of as a kid, but I mean, I remember every Olympic, summer or winter, I was watching the Olympic Games all the time, and I thought, wow, now I have a chance to be one of those Olympic athletes, and it's an automatic 100% yes. And it wasn't really ever a question of whether I was going or not. It was just whether I was going to qualify or not. And so, once the U.S. Open had finished up and I had qualified, it was a really cool feeling to have locked that up. And I've done a lot of visualizing and dreaming of that moment and being over there and being an Olympian. So the next part is to go over there and win a medal.
Yeah, good luck there. Well, why don't we end the interview with how we started, right? And you've got to get going. You've been kind enough to give us some time after the Travelers. You started by talking about your Leafs. Now, you're Ontario born, so automatically you're a card-carrying Toronto Maple Leafs fan. So we'll end it this way. Explain what you think your Leafs need to do to get to the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And then is it even conceivable for a Maple Leafs fan to cheer for the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup final? So start with the Leafs and then jump to the Habs.
So what I think the Leafs need, and I've said this for probably the last few years, is that I feel like the style of hockey in the playoffs is so different to the regular season. I mean, you see a lot more games that are, 1-0, 2-1. The defense locks down, guys play a lot tougher, and the hockey is more physical. And that's where I feel like we get kind of pushed around. The Leafs aren't overly physical. They're not hitting a lot of guys. And then you play these teams that are physical and they get kind of pushed around. And so my 2 cents is that we trade, a top forward, 1-for-1 for a number 1 defenseman. I mean, my thoughts
Who
are,
would you trade so usually a top forward, man? Which one?
Oh, Drake's putting the grill on him, man.
My gut is to take Nylander, and swap him out 1-for-1 with a top defenseman, but like a top defenseman that can like really control his own end and be a presence in front of whoever our goalie is. I don't think that's my priority. I think whether it's Freddie or Jack, I think we're okay. But just a presence in front of that goalie and in our own end that's can have some toughness, but also again control that end of the ice, and that's I think what we're missing. And I think we added some good pieces with like Simmons, and we got Muzzins. We have a little bit of toughness there and some edge, but yeah, we lack a little bit on that back end, and I think that's the difference. Honestly, we have so much talent up front, but I mean, then you get in the playoffs, and it's like, I don't think Marner has scored in 18 playoff games, something like that. I mean, those guys are not as effective when that style of hockey becomes physical and a bit just everything just is that much tighter. I mean, guys are playing way better defense, and so that's my 2 cents is that we need a presence back there that we don't have right now, and but man, it's been. I think now there's a little bit of a psychological aspect to what's going on. The first round exits are becoming a bit of a trend, and I think it's weighing on the guys a little bit. And I thought, man, if they get past this first round, I think the floodgates will open. But unfortunately, we succumb to that again. So it's kind of back to the we'll get them next year saying. So I hope that they can kind of figure it out. I know Shanahan's been saying that they're gonna stick with this group and they believe in this group. So my feelings is that it's not working, and I mean this is the group they have, and it clearly doesn't work. I mean, you can say that they're the most talented team in the league or whatever you want to say, but the reality is they're not getting the results, and in the Toronto market that's not going to cut it. So I think they'll figure it out, but man, they got a short window with this core group of forwards that I think that they need to really capitalize on, and let's hope they do it.
So where's that get you about the Habs?
Part 2 is that is the absolute no. I cannot cheer for the Habs. It really hurts me to think that they're in the Stanley Cup final right now, and we were up 3-1 on them in the first round. I mean, guess that's stuff of nightmares right there. So we'll see. I mean, I think they have a good chance of doing it. I just think that the way they've gone through these playoffs, I mean, they believe in each other. They're a team that no one would have picked, but now they all believe in one another, and they're playing great team hockey, and they've got Carey Price in that. So anything is possible with that group, and I think it'll be a good series.
Will you get to watch?
Oh, I'll watch.
Yeah.
It's not as exciting, obviously. I don't really have a rooting interest. I don't want the Canadiens to win, but I'm just watching to see some good hockey, and I'll be tuning in, and hopefully the Bell Center can increase the capacity of their building, because I think that'd be pretty fun for those fans to get back in there and see a Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, no question. All right, Mac. Well, we've kept you long enough. Look, we really appreciate your time. I know it's sparing with all the travel that you're doing. Congratulations on another good season. All the best in the near future and long term.
Yeah. Thanks, Darren. Ray, appreciate it. And talk soon.